Hello everyone and welcome to the Action Figuratorium. My name is Mark Major. I'm a real big toy collector here in Southeast Portland. Look at the production level of the show, people. Lower thirds. What else could you want? Today I'm going to be doing more of my regular sort of shtick where I do deep dive analysis, marketing analysis that is, of Kickstarter campaigns of action figures. The one we're going to be doing today is called Rush Monster Masters Action Figures. These are 4.5 guys that are essentially kind of the universal monster action figures, but not necessarily by name per se. We're going to get into that. And I think this is kind of an interesting campaign. It's a lower campaign. They're only trying to achieve a $10,000 goal, and in some cases that's nothing. But we're going to check it out, and we're going to give kind of a dish on it. And also on this one, I think it might be fun to kind of critique the toys themselves. So everybody, you know, come together, strap on the leather. Let's hold on tight. Here we go. All right, we are going to cut over to our desktop cam. This is always a very exciting moment when this happens, at least visually. Probably at home, not so much. Here we go, talking about Rush Monster Masters, and let's roll their video. I think this is worth looking at. I may get dinged as far as you know, a copyright, usually what happens when you play someone else's video, but let's take a look.
Rush Toys. We are a small, independent toy company located in New York City. Our newest line, Monster Masters. These figures are in the style of the old WWF Hasbro figures, but monsters. Frankenstein, Nosferatu, Cthulhu, and the Rush creature. With your support, finish up our molds you can see below in our story and start production on Cthulhu and the creature. Tons of incentives like trading cards and posters, even free figures. So I hope that you join us in releasing the monsters.
All right, that gave us a pretty good description. So they've got 4 guys and 2, it sounds like they kind of have the molds for and are going to be raising funds to unlock the other 2. I believe that's kind of the gist of what I got. Now, one of the things that I do is I like to vet who the people are putting on these campaigns, because a lot of times it's going to tell you not only whether or not it's going to fulfill, but sort of give you an idea of timeline, how long it's going to take. You know, have they done campaigns before? Were they successful? That sort of thing. And this is kind of what I came up with. If you go to the guy who's behind this, his name is Sal. If you go to his website, right, he actually has a bunch of toys for sale. Some are pre-order, but some you can actually get. You can get these new products. You can see there's sort of these kind of chunky, he called them retro wrestling, Hasbro wrestling figures. I don't know much about the Hasbro wrestling figures that he's talking about, but they look kind of, you know, they're a little about an inch shorter than the He-Man guys, but they look kind of He-Man-esque. And he's got some different dudes for sale. So he actually is a guy who has a toy company that actually has product and is selling it. So there's a bit of trust I'm willing to grant him. Also, look at these lightning bolts, people. Ride the lightning. Who's with me? So, given that, this will probably ship if it fulfills, I'm guessing, but you never know. Again, a lot of things could happen between now and then. People have problems all the time. They need extra money for an operation, or the car breaks down, or the furnace, or water line breaks, you know. So nothing is ever guaranteed in life, but we should take a look at what he's got offering. Also, this is kind of interesting. I rarely see a guy come out with like a graph, that sort of thing. Now, one of the things that I would like to bring up here is the amount of copy on his campaign, and I have to say that one of the things that I'm very, very, very guilty of, right, is not reading these. I don't sit down and go through all of them. I skim a little bit. I get tired. I move on, and there have been some videos in the past where I've made mistakes. I've said things that were wrong because I didn't bother to read the copy. Now, is that my fault? Yes, absolutely it is. I was at fault with that. But you need to realize as a marketing person that people aren't always going to sit down and read this novel that you got, and you're going to have to fine-tune the copy to get it as succinct as possible. Let me give you an example, right? One of the things that they'll teach you in like beginning marketing classes is take your product and kind of write sort of ad copy, description for it, and get it to about 50 words or so. Get it to kind of like a couple sentences, a sort of a little sort of paragraph, right? And once you have that, once you feel pretty good about it, it's all looking really strong, okay, cut out 20 words, cut it down to 30, okay? You do that, you get it succinct, then what do? Cut it down some more. Get it to like, 10 words, a couple of sentences. Then what? Cut it some more. Get it to half of that. Keep cutting. Cut and cut and cut, right? What are you left with? Well, some examples. Nike, 3 words, just do it, okay? You think someone could top that? Yes, they could. Remember the campaigns for milk? 2 words, got milk? Okay, so when I was doing the, putting together like all like the logos and marketing for the studio that I run here in Milwaukee, I came up with 1 word, right? We took a director's chair for our logo, flipped it around so you could see the back, right? And on the back of it, we could have put our name. Instead, I just put the word you, as in you're the one in the chair, because people rent the studio and it's kind of their studio while they're here. And that's sort of what people need to, the frame of mind people need when they're doing their marketing copy. And this is a lot of marketing copy to get through. Not that, telling people more is bad, but you really need to think about how you're going to grab people as quickly as possible. Okay, so let's look at some of these figures. He's got this Nosferatu guy. It's kind of cool. He's got a Frankenstein, and the Frankenstein, the top of his head comes off, and there's a brain inside. Some of you may not realize that you get brain with these. Then there is a Cthulhu figure. Now, I assume that everything here is kind of public domain. The H.P. Lovecraft stuff, it's like 100 years old. Frankenstein, obviously much older. Nosferatu, that movie was supposed to be a Dracula movie, but they couldn't get the rights to Dracula, and so they called it something else. But it's an old German silent film, so that's probably a good 100 years old. You can probably use that. Creature from the Black Lagoon, okay, so they're definitely, I'd say, infringing upon the design, but they're not calling it Creature from the Black Lagoon. They're calling it Rush Creature. Rush is the name of his company, so that's why it's called that. If his name was called something else, like let's say the company was called Chocolate, it'd be called Chocolate Creature, okay? Just want everyone to know that. Here's some sort of like, looks like he wants to show you the accessories you get with it. Each guy comes with some different accessories. He's giving you wings with the Cthulhu. You get chains with the Frankenstein, that kind of stuff. There's some other things that you get with it. Here's interesting. I never see this. Someone showing you the molds. Never see what these people's molds look like. Each figure is going to come with a trading card and a comic book, so it's always a little bit of tchotchkes thrown in. Here's the unlocks. There's going to be a werewolf, and there's going to be a Van Helsing. Now, I want to just object right now and say, who cares about Van Helsing? I mean, really, okay? I mean, really. But again, I'm always corrected at every possible turn. There's one comment from Taylor Broom. It says, I've been looking forward to the line for a good while now. Okay, so he knows the guy. Hope the Van Helsing stretch goal is met. So I'm wrong again. Wrong all the time, but you know what? You admit you're wrong, and sometimes it's kind of fun. Anyways, who cares about Van Helsing? So back to the campaign. Here we go, scrolling down. We see the figures, etc., etc., risks and challenges. Yes, we know the risks and challenges that we hope that you don't need to take the money and get your furnace fixed. So let's go to the rewards. And $30 a figure, Nosferatu, $30, Frankenstein, $30, Cthulhu, $30, Creature from the Black Lagoon, $30, 120 for a 4-pack. It's actually a, they're calling it a 5-pack. I don't know why. It's really just the 4 figures, Creature, Cthulhu, Nosferatu, 1 quantity clean set. That's a kind of a typo. See, because he's got this other thing. For another $100, you get a clean set and a bloody set. And the bloody set, although he doesn't have pictures of it, I'm assuming that they take the figures and someone takes a paintbrush with red on it and they just go like this and they fleck red on it. I'm guessing that that's kind of, or something, you know, like maybe there is like an actual tampo that puts the blood on the sand. But they could, you know, you could just fleck some blood on it. So, let's talk a little bit about, and this is the objective part of the show, I always bring this out. I have a graphic, I'm not going to use it now, I'm just going to walk through it. There's a bunch of these vids, if you want to see the graphic, they're in there, and you should go back and watch the vids, I think they're good. But here's the way it works. Best practices. Now, best practices doesn't mean that if you don't follow them, it won't fun. It doesn't mean that at all. Best practices means if you do follow these practices, your campaign will be bigger in terms of the overall money at the end of it. That's what that refers to. It doesn't mean it's not going to fun. It just means if you want to get a bigger number, do these things. A lot of people do whatever they can to make this happen. Life is struggle. If this is your struggle, go for it. Make it happen. But here's how it works. You need something called standard, you need something called deluxe, and you need something called luxury. 3 tiers of pricing. And if you're starting out, the best combination is 4 standard figures, 2 deluxe figures, and then 1 luxury figure. See, it makes this shape. Can you see this shape I'm doing? Check that out. You start here, and guess what? It ends up here. Now, the luxury figure, remember, it's not necessarily that its actual cost of production is huge. It's just a really expensive thing for guys out there who are loaded, all those toy bros out there who have infinite money to spend on whatever they want. They'll buy it simply because it exists, and you need to harvest that money. Without that money, you don't have the biggest kind of take. And the same thing with the deluxe. There are people out there who are willing to spend more if you give them more, so you come up with a deluxe figure. In some ways, you may have to short the standard figures, right? If you're planning to give everybody 2 heads, sets of hands, 2 guns and stuff, maybe standard figures just come with a gun. Maybe the deluxe figures come with all that stuff, right? That way people feel like, oh, I don't want to buy this cheapskate thing, but I kind of want to get this good thing. It's a way to harvest money from people when you're doing these campaigns. Okay, the other thing is you need a wide selection, or that is to say, the wider the selection, the more things, the more SKUs, as I call them, the more things, variety there is to buy. So someone will come along and they're like, well, you know, I don't really like these things, but I do like the mummy. Well, if you didn't offer the mummy, he may not buy it, that kind of thing. And then lastly, you want to make sure that all of your marketing gack is right here on Kickstarter. Don't necessarily assume that people are gonna go to like your Facebook page to see the extra pictures. You can say like, oh yeah, there's a lot of pics here. You know, check out my Facebook page. But really, if you want people's money, don't push them. You know, don't say, oh, there's no pictures, but if you want to see some, you know, give them lots of pictures and say, okay, there's an option for more out there. Facebook, my Twitter account, my Instagram account. It's the way it works. So with this campaign, he's just got the 4 standard figures at $30. I think if you could get these dogs down to like a 25 or 20, it'd be much better. He does not have the deluxe, he does not have the luxury, although there are 2 other unlocks that he could get to, and those could, you know, you don't necessarily have to start off with that. You could unlock 2 of these things. That's what a lot of people do. They get the ball rolling, they unlock, and then all of a sudden deluxe figures start coming out, and then a luxury figure eventually comes out, and then people buy that, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to give him a ding on that with only the 4 guys. Does he have a wide variety? Wide enough. He's got 4 dudes and a couple more guys in the hamper, right? So there's some potential there. Could do well. Also, he's only trying to get 10 grand, which is not a lot for action figure Kickstarters. The average, in my opinion, for a figure to get the molds and get all the production is $75,000 to $120,000. So at 10K, that's kind of, you know, there's some cats out there, they can just come up with that on their own. They don't even need a Kickstarter. But some people don't really know how to do sales, so they rely upon Kickstarter to do sales, which is great to start off with, but eventually if you just keep using Kickstarter over and over and over again, what you're doing is you are taking a chunk of the loot and you're giving it to a third party that doesn't deserve it, need it. Learn how to become your own brand and sell off your own website or some type of store, right? And do it that way. The Kickstarter is that. It's a way to start the fire, a way to get it going, right? Very important. If you're on your 5th or 6th campaign of the same toy line, you're just blowing cash on Kickstarter, right? Get rid of the Kickstarter. Get rid of that kickstand. You know what I'm saying? Okay, here's another thing that I'm going to ding this person on, and I don't like giving out dings, and that's because I have a message, and my message is stop buying from Hasbro. They're owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. Do not buy the Dragon Man. I know you guys are like, I'm going to get a Dragon Man. Don't buy a Dragon Man. Put it into indie toy companies. Don't buy from Super 7. They're garbage. Don't buy from Funko Pops. Let that stuff die. It is killing us. That is market share that could go to real companies doing real interesting work, putting out cool toys. Stop giving them money. Give it to anything but them. Give it to this guy, right? Take the money you're going to spend on this one Dragon Man and buy all these guys. But I got a ding where I got a ding. Carrot and stick. Here's how it works. When you are a person getting a manufacturer, a toy company, going to a manufacturer, having toys made, the factory wants you to place a big order. They want to sell a lot of figures, and they have minimum requirements in which they will do business with you in terms of getting your toys made. So this is about quantity. You need to move a certain quantity of stock, okay? Selling lots of figures is good. Even if you make a little bit less money per figure, selling more figures means you are scaling. This is how the company Samsung works. They have expensive luxury phones, they've got plenty of mid-level deluxe phones, and then they have a lot of cheap phones, right? And most of the people are buying cheap phones because most people don't have a lot of money. And they don't make as much money on those cheap phones, but they sell a lot of them. And that is how they got to where they are now, by scaling on the cheap end, okay? So you need to put out a package that encourages people to buy in quantities. Even if you make a little less per figure, you need to order more figures, because if you do order more figures, they cost you less and you make more money per figure yourself when you sell them. It's a balancing act. Again, life is a struggle. This is how you have to struggle. Convince people to buy as many figures as possible. So what he did is, he has figures at 30 bucks, and he said, well, if you buy 4, that's $120. You will get tired clicking the button 4 times if you want to order all 4 guys. So let's just make a 1-button click, okay? That is not what it's about. What it's about is you need to make a deal so that someone says, you know, I was going to buy 1 figure, but then I saw that if you got, you know, for 30 bucks, I saw that if you bought all 4 figures, they were $99, and that means it's 25 bucks each. It's like, at that price, right, it was too good to pass up. Or maybe even for 4 figures, it's less than 99 bucks. What if it was like $95 or $90, right? Each figure comes in even less than that. Okay, you're not making as much money, but you're pushing more stock out. Also, some people will end up buying more of one figure than another. You're going to get a peg warmer in there. If you can encourage people to buy the variety, right? So like, I wasn't going to get, you know, Monster Mash guy, but, well, he's in the 4-pack. So you keep yourself from getting your own lemons, your own B stock, and being stuck with figures that nobody wants. And so you really need to come up with encouraging packages, and this is not an encouraging package. Also, let's move on to the next thing that is kind of bugging me, right, is he's got this thing where you can get 4-pack of guys, right, in the sort of the 4 set, but you can also spend 220 bucks and you get an 8-pack of guys, but the other 8 guys come bloody, right? But there's no other way to get these bloody guys unless you buy the 8. Why? I mean, if there's a reason, I would like to know. Remember, people, I'm the dumbest guy in the room every time, okay? And some people laugh at that, but when I go into a room, I'm an observer. I don't say anything. I'm just watching to see where I fit in, because I don't ever know what's going on. And you as a person selling stuff to me, you have to speak to me as if I'm the dumbest guy in the room. And some people will laugh at me and say, he doesn't get it. Ha ha, he doesn't get it. He's not going to buy the toy because he doesn't get it. Okay, I don't get it. I didn't buy my toy. Who's the joke on? Joke's on you. No sale. So explain to me why you would do that, okay? Again, I already made my pitch, my message. I don't want people buying the big dogs, the big 3. I want people spending money on this instead of them. But help me out. What marketing do you get by having the exclusive bloody variants only in this 8-pack? Don't know. Somebody tell me in the comments, and use plain language, because again, I'm the dumbest guy in the room. So that's all my sort of beef with this is just, not the best pricing tiers, not the best carrot and stick, some exclusivity that doesn't make sense. It's a branch that's too hard to grab. I don't get it. Right? Joke's on me, not making a purchase. But let's move on to, like, what do I think as a real big toy collector? What do I think of the figures themselves? Well, I actually kind of dig these guys in a weird way, and let me tell you why. There's these figures out there, and I have some. They're in a box somewhere below. I probably, I should really put a little more energy into these videos and dig them out and show you guys. But I don't want to take the spotlight off of this dude and his campaign and these figures and put on this thing. But I will show you what I'm talking about. They're called stretch screamers, okay? We're going to, whoa, look at that. We're going to go to the Google image search, which everybody loves, nobody loves, and check these cats out. I have a bunch of these guys. Some of these were available through McDonald's, okay? Does anybody remember McDonald's toys? I hope you don't, but some of you do. Sometimes they're cool, most of the time they're crap. But they're these kind of weird monster guys. And like, so this mummy dude here, he has a cool feature where I think if you pull, he's got rubber arms, you pull the arms and the face switches to a mummy, and then this face. This guy, man, I wish I had a better shot of the brain in the jar guy. This dude, right? I have one of these. So it's actually got water in it, and this little brain thing with a face on it floats in it, and you push that button and it just pushes air up and it moves it around. And he's got kind of stretchy arms, that sort of thing. And so these guys all kind of have like the stretch screamers have like a kind of a gimmick to them. They're all sort of flexible and stretchy and things like that. Here's some more of them. You can see a little better shot. I got a bunch of these guys. They're actually pretty cool. The creature from the Black Lagoon guy, you pull on his arms and he has like a light inside, I think, that lights up. So they have kind of a cool feature, but his guys kind of remind me of this. And so it gets down into what I call the fun factor, okay? Does the toy have a fun factor? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the sculpt is. It doesn't really matter how much deco apps it has on it. It definitely doesn't matter how much articulation it has. Any particular action figure, any particular toy can just have a cool fun factor to it, all right? So skip all like those sort of guys who do these hardcore reviews and they're like, what am I going to give it? I give it 8 out of 7 on articulation. I give it 8. Those are great. We need those. I love those. I lived off those for years, right? Sometimes I would check that stuff. just to see what you were getting, because I never got enough information from the manufacturer. But these cats are kind of like the stretch screamers, and I think they have a real high fun factor. And I think if more people knew about these figures, I think if he spent a little money on some marketing, maybe some Google ads, maybe some Facebook ads, stuff like that, I think he might like actually hit his goal. The Nosferatu guy is kind of cool. You know, remember they're only like 4.5 inches, so they're not quite He-Man. The Frankenstein guy is not bad. The brain thing is cool. The Cthulhu guy is actually quite cool. I could see myself for 30 bucks throwing down for something like that. We all need a Cthulhu here or there once in a while. Creature from the Black Lagoon, I wish he had an actual one 3D printed and not just this render, but I get it. I get it. Not everybody has the full whatever going on. And I'm sure the werewolf guy and the Van Helsing guy, again, who cares about Van Helsing? I'm sure they're cool too. And so I think this cat's actually got a cool fun factor. I think that there may be something here. If you go back to his website and you look at some of the other stuff, you can see that he sort of has he has a taste. He has a taste for what people kind of want, what's kind of fun. So I don't know. I would love to hear, as always, what you guys think. Again, you can bash me in the comments. I love getting bashed in the comments. It helps me become a better person. I never argue with people like a mad thing. Sometimes people bring up points that are great, things that I missed, things that I didn't know, and I will concede all the time if you can prove to me that, yeah, okay, this is that, you were wrong, or yeah, I'm down with that. That's not a problem. But I love to hear from people, and a lot of times I reply. If it's a great comment, even if it's negative, I'll pin it to the page. Throw something in the comments if you think that you feel a certain way about the video, my presentation, or the campaign itself. Let's discuss it. Even the most basic thing like, do you think it will succeed? Do you think it'll fun? He's got 54 days to go. He only needs another like about $8,000 to hit his mark. Who knows? Maybe one of these big bad toy store guys could come in as like a whale and just blow it out. Who knows? I don't know. But anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I always give you a personal thank you. Why not? You've earned it. And with that, everybody stay charged.